But the point is, why would we want to give any leeway to a terrorist organization like Hamas, anyone across the world?
Nobody's
Why isn't the world uniting to say Hamas disarm now? What Donald Trump is saying finally now.
There have been attempts to solve this Palestine-Israel issue for decades. This is not a new thing. Yes, the current war is 2 years old.
Yes.
The actual conflict is about 100 years old.
Sure.
Let's remember that. There have been multiple instances of attempts to sort it out. There have been multiple agreements, accords, conventions, what have you. What, however, right now you also need to remember is that when Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu sit down and say Hamas must disarm, they're not even talking to the Palestinian Authority. The so-called government of Palestine that was created for the civilians to help the people to actually run a government, they're not even talking to them. Who exactly are Trump and Netanyahu coming to an agreement with? Hamas, let's face it, is a terrorist organization.
Why have you undermined the Palestinian Authority?
That's exactly what I'm saying. You are not talking to the Palestinian Authority. You are not talking about the civilians. You are actively stopping any and all humanitarian aid from entering. You are actively stopping the flotillas which are carrying medicine and food for children from entering the place. Are you seriously telling me that by creating this kind of absolute horror and violence, you expect that whoever is left standing in that devastated, bombed out crater will want to go for peace with you? Does that really actually work? Does anybody expect that to happen?
There are two ways as far as the trust deficit is concerned, and it is on both sides, needless to say. There are again no two ways about the fact that this is a conflict that is not 2 years old. It actually ranges into hundreds of years, and that is where the problem primarily stems from. But again, we are talking today on the 7th of October, and I'm sure all of us had broken hearts when we saw those pictures of what happened at the music festival, and when those people were scrambling, running from one corner to the other. More than 1,200 people died. 250 hostages. Again, I want to raise the point that he did. That fact also remains that in the 2 years, the negotiations that have happened, those hostages have still not been released, and many of them have also died. And coming to your point of how the people are not being taken into account when it comes to all these negotiations that are happening, there was a 3-phase ceasefire that was announced from January 19 to March 18, 2025, this year.
Yeah.
But that failed, so much so that the civilians were happy that things have started settling down, and they had even started clearing the rubble. But
so,
that again,
I don't think you're making a distinction between
Hamas
West Bank.
again.
No, so right now we're talking about Gaza, and I want to sincerely. I am talking about Gaza for a moment. Yes.
As far as Trump's plan is concerned, needless to say, Hamas obviously has to disarm. And again, Netanyahu has made a statement saying that, with Trump's plan of rebuilding Gaza, how we will de-radicalize people, and this whole point of making it conducive for the people.
The problem
again, the trust deficit is a problem, and Netanyahu again not agreeing.
I was in shock on 7th October 2023, and have been in shock ever since, every day since then. My heart bled on the 7th of October, and every day since then it's been bleeding. Because if you don't see the visuals, and if it does not hit you what's happening to children in Gaza, then there's a problem. As journalists, we have to look at what's happening on the ground. Collateral damage and the disproportionate way in which the response has to be accounted for.
What's the way forward, Pranay? Because, Geeta and I have also reported from there, as have many of us. What I want to understand is, if Hamas is hiding in an underground bunker, using civilians as hostages,
hospitals.
Under hospitals, how does the Israeli security forces, how do they carry out an operation without there being collateral damage? They're actually issuing notices saying, leave this area.
Collateral damage which has led to the biggest humanitarian crisis.
No, they might say leave this area, they're not allowing them to leave.
Okay.
They're not allowing people to leave. You're not allowing people to leave where young children don't have food to eat. You created a famine. You've shut the gates, you've created a famine, and Yes, what
They're
happened on
shooting
7th
people.
October was terrible. And
It is
I till
terrible.
date, it
It's
gives me
the
goosebumps
worst
too.
thing.
I still remember that picture of that young girl who was pulled away on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
It still gives me goosebumps. I think most of us.
Yes, yes.
But, you know, the rest of... There are so many people who might call it bleeding hearts, but with what Geeta said,
But Preeti,
if you do
for
not,
long,
if you
Gaza
do not
has remained an
accept it,
open prison. This is the irony. This
how
has
are we
remained
then? Exactly.
So
therefore,
who's interested in solving the problem? Is it the Gaza peace
One
plan
second.
is only...
Pranay, all I'm
Yeah.
talking about is in the last 2 years, if any of us is going to sit here and defend what is going on right now in Gaza, whether you call it bleeding heart or inhuman, this is genocide.
So
This
we are
is
trying
genocide.
to figure out.
Please accept it.
We are trying to figure out a way forward. Is everyone on the same page here? At least that Hamas needs to go. There is terror cannot be a road to solution.
Absolutely.
Whether it's Hamas,
Absolutely.
Hamas there or Lashkar-e-Taiba here.
I would
Okay.
My point is
agree with
different that
what
if
you're
you are looking at a long-term solution, are we looking at a long-term solution or with this Gaza peace plan, are we going to get a long-term solution?
No,
Nobody has an
not
answer
at all.
because, look, you might have, like PIJ is already there. Palestine Islamic Jihad is already there. And there are many other organizations which still exist within the same community. How are you going to make that distinction? Nobody knows. Because it is so intertwined, it is so there that Hamas tomorrow, it might crop up because the same organization. It was
Hamas
PLO.
under another name.
Look, Gaurav, it was PLO. It used to be Yasser Arafat.
Yes.
Palestine Liberation Organization. They formed a political party. It became Fatah. Then someone, for their own political reasons, they propped up Hamas. Now Hamas became a villain.
Not
now
so
they
much.
want to.
There are
It's
so
a
many-
Benjamin
there's
Netanyahu.
Benjamin
absolute
Netanyahu.
clarity
Benjamin Netanyahu.
on
For
Yes.
a political reason. They
No, the
created it.
political reason
So-
was to undermine the Palestine
Fatah.
They want
Authority.
it. Look, it's the
Mahmoud
state,
Abbas, Abu Mazen.
state and non-state actors, the way the state play this game, then truth has always remained a casualty on a battlefield. See how they are peddling their narrative. Nobody knows, but is anyone seriously interested? I don't see a hope unless there is a proper representation. See the Arab world, how are they behaving? Look, the kind of pressure which was created on Benjamin Netanyahu to say sorry to Qatar, did they create similar kind of pressure for Benjamin
That's
Netanyahu
America.
to say sorry?
What
But
explains
America's
that,
complicit.
Maria,
There's a
in
difference.
your view?
But
Let
America's
me bring in
complicit.
Maria also and Preeti into this conversation. What explains the Arab world also unable or unwilling to put pressure on Israel when it comes to its actions in Gaza?
It is known Arab hypocrisy. I mean, it's not happening for the first time. They haven't done so for the longest time. They know that they can be the peacemakers, but the Arab world has chosen this path because there was that deal which was almost on the verge of signing, the Saudi-Israel deal, which did not really go through because of this war which started. I think the entire spotlight has to be on those 2.2 million people who are facing disease, facing famine, facing hunger amidst this entire destruction.
So,
and the entire world has to come together for this. Gaza peace plan should be given a chance. We do not know long term how it will be playing out, but whatever, peace has to be given a chance for the sake of the children of Gaza.
in fact, Preeti, right now when you look at the way this crisis is unfolding or an effort to find a solution is being sought, step one, Hamas has to go. Everyone's on the same page on that.
course.
We're all on the same page on that.
Of course.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think there's a debate.
No, everyone's on the same page. Very, very heartening.
There is, however, a but.
Okay.
And a however.
Yes.
Hamas must go.
Yes.
Clearly.
Disarm, go, leave
Disarm,
Gaza.
go, leave Gaza.
But how do you
at the
de-radicalize
same
the
time-
elements who may crop up under
No,
some
I'm
name?
not even
Like
talking
Lashkar-e-Taiba.
about
No,
that.
I know
That
because,
aside,
you know,
that aside.
Lashkar-e-Taiba came up as the resistance front. So
But
Hamas
so
will come
should
up with some
Israel
secular
withdraw.
sounding
Should
name.
Israel
So should
withdraw?
Israel withdraw.
Because when you're talking about the Trump
So should we
Netanyahu
look at
peace plan,
statehood for Palestine?
Okay.
And unless there is statehood, there is going to be no equality. It's always going to be Israel above Palestine.
So
we've
there should be
got
two
thi-
clear states
and we've
living in
got
harmony
this
with each
debate
other
going on
without
for
terror, which is
years,
India's
for-
stated position.
For decades we've seen, and you may have whatever view you have of the international community and of the UN, you have an ICJ the International Court of Justice, saying
Yes.
that Israel has been illegally occupying territory that it has no business occupying after the Oslo Accord.
Sure, but
You have a
Israel had
Netanyahu-
actually released all that territory, had moved
But
out
they're
of
back there
Gaza.
now, no?
It moved out of Gaza, lock, stock and barrel. Hamas
When?
took over.
This is a
Hamas
great
took over.
narrative.
Israel withdrew from that
This
territory.
is a great
Because of their own
narrative,
reason.
Pranay.
They
How is it a
withdrew.
narrative?
They withdrew from that territory.
Withdrawing from the territory and having control over exit and entry are very,
Very
different
different
things. If Israel still controlled the exit and entry and Gazans were dependent on Israel to see whether they can leave or not, they'd say Egypt was open, but hardly. Everything was
But
controlled.
Egypt also has
and-
so many restrictions on people from
Exactly,
Palestine
but
coming in.
because
then
there
again,
was...
you go
But
back
so
to
do
the
Jordan
international
has.
Yes,
hypocrisy
so
of
does
it.
Jordan.
Because they do
And
not
perhaps
want refugees
this
anymore.
is also something
But
that
aside,
Palestinians
if the exit
will have
and
to think
entry
about.
are controlled, what happened in
Palestinians will also have to
2005
think
and
about why is it that
2008?
even Egypt and
Allowed
Jordan don't want
after
them.
Hamas was
Gaurav, that is the
elected,
problem.
Gaurav, we
there
can't
was
even
a
discount the fact
blockade.
that Israel has an existential threat there. So that the country has always
Of
remained
course,
in
of
existential
course,
threat.
of
And
course.
Hamas has always
Because if you
fired.
keep doing
Look,
this,
look,
you will always
Preeti,
be
an
under
existential
threat.
threat, so Israel will
Pranay,
do whatever
if
it takes
you
to
keep
keep
doing
itself
what
safe.
Israel does to Palestine,
That is
there
what
will always be
Pranay
existential.
seems to indicate.
The irony runs so deep because Israel and the Jews have gone through so much to turn around on what's happening right now, I think is a writ on the wall. But Gaurav, like I said, I don't want to get into it. It's a conversation you don't want to have because if it is humanitarian, we're rolling out the red carpet for the foreign minister of...
Okay. Taliban is a
who
debate we'll have another time.
No,
Today
we
it's
must have
purely
it. We
today
must
it's
have
purely
it.
we will have
We will.
another
We
democratic
should.
room on democratic newsroom on that with Preeti moderating that very soon. But
Hopefully
this is
you taking the side
Oh,
of
I
the
will-
women of Afghanistan.
I will